Hey y'all, what's up? It's Jan. Welcome back to the channel. This is my video on my post thoughts on Anime Expo 2025. Just got back from Los Angeles, California, and now everything is reeling back in. Just went back to work and all that fun stuff. So I wanted to have sort of a unscripted, just dumping of all my thoughts from the event itself and giving you sort of how I felt directly after the event. I'll probably have some more thoughts on the convention as time goes on. I have a bunch of other videos on some concerns, some good things, other feedback on the convention itself. So I'll be coming up on the next couple days, but let's talk about the event as it is. For those who don't know me, some context on myself. I have been attending Anime Expo for many years, so 2017, 18, 19, there was no 20 or 21, so 22, 23, 24, so my 8th year returning to Anime Expo 2025. I also attended AXGB back in 22, so it's the first they ever did it. So there is that. That is some context on me. I've enjoyed attending Anime Expo for all these years. I am based in New Jersey, so I fly across the country for this event, for the 4th of July weekend, basically every year that I can, and there's that. I feel like I should talk about this because it was a thing that they did before, and it technically, there's some stuff to do. The event is from the 2nd to the 5th. There is no day zero or pre-show day like they've done back in 2018 and 2019, where they opened up the entertainment hall and had other sort of events that you could do before the official start of the convention. But day zero, if you went this year, you can pick up your badge if you did will call, any tickets, and get any questions answered at the registration booths. Also, there's a bunch of, unofficial fan meetups, so people who meet up on Discord or Reddit. They had some meetups the night before, so it's an opportunity to socialize, or at least get the lay of the land, figure out where everything is, and plan out your day, relax before, or acclimate to the time change, because at least for me it's a 3-hour going backwards going there. So there's that. Thought I should bring it up. That's day zero. All right, day one. This was very interesting for me because normally, you jump in the same line as everyone else to enter the convention center, but with the expanded campus, which I did talk about in the video, I guess look up there, they did have an expanded campus. Main events was moved from Hall B in the West Hall to the Peacock Theater, which is great because they have not used that venue in well over 5, 6, 7 years. Since 2018, the Anisong Moment City concerts were the last time I think they used the Peacock Theater, formerly known as Microsoft Theater, formerly known as the Nokia Theater. So it was definitely an upgrade. Here are some B-roll of what the main events, opening ceremonies used to look like, and here is now what it looks like with the Peacock Theater. It is a much bigger venue. It holds up to 7,100 people, so that is a much needed upgrade. It is an actual theater. It is a venue, a music venue, so you have much better audio fidelity in terms of listening to concerts and stuff. Great upgrade. The thing I don't like about it, and I'll talk about it shortly in a bit on day 2, line situation to enter there was pretty poor. Speaking of lines, the next thing I did on day 1 was go to the Dokibird celebration birthday concert. That was at the JW Marriott on the Diamond, or was it Diamond, or was it the platform? It's one of the ballrooms on the 3rd floor. And here's where LineCon sets in, and that is to enter the JW Marriott. You used to be able to enter from the hotel side and then go up the escalators and go across. Now you have to enter from West Street, and there is a very heavy bottleneck. So if you wanted autographs or panels in any of the ballrooms, you had to enter the line to enter the building. It was pretty bad. The line was pretty slow. It was rough. So I think I tried to go 15 minutes early. One, I had to figure out how to enter the building and realize that the one giant line I was staring at was the line to enter. And then, I was like 30 minutes late to the panel, so I was at the very tail end of the concert. It was kind of unfortunate, but it's going to be a reoccurring thing where lines are going to become a problem, and it was something I didn't think was going to be an issue because I thought they would have solved it with AX crossing, but They solved it for the convention center side. They did not solve it for everywhere else. So there's that. After that, I did go enter the convention center campus and went to AX Crossing, grabbed a bite. I forgot exactly what I ordered. Here's a picture of whatever I ordered. I don't remember the exact order of what I ordered throughout the weekend. So there is that. Here is the actual booth that I ordered from. So after my lunch, stayed at the hotel, dropped off my bags because went over to the Peacock Theater again. So never entered well, I did enter and just wanted to pass by and see everything, but didn't really go to the exhibit halls or anything yet, because at 4 o'clock I did get a VIP seat, so it's one of the first couple of rows, for the J-pop sound capsule. Anytime Moment Series back, it's one of the main reasons I go to Anime Expo. Huge fan. So with a VIP seat, you get this little, did I say little? This giant badge thing, compare it to the size of the actual 4-day pass. And I also got, what is it? This poster that's over here. So it's really cool. The one complaint I'm going to have is they also had a high touch event, so you get to give a high five to most of the performers. The thing I didn't like was that you had to, all the VIP activities were at 4 o'clock, and at that point you scan your ticket, and because they do that and you can't like leave, you can't leave. So you had to sit there until the concert started at 7, which was kind of rough. Which means if you were hungry, you got to go expensive theater concession stand. So I think I got like an $11 Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee because I needed the caffeine. And yeah, there was that. Also, you had first dibs on merch, so that was at least something. Because I was already on a really tight budget for the convention this year, just grabbed a t-shirt and a flow headband. So there's that. Besides all the complaints I had with, wasting sort of 2.5 hours waiting for the concert to start, Anytime Moment City and the concert series that they have at Anime Expo is one of the main reasons I attend Expo every year, just with hopes that they're going to have a big music event. And they definitely did not disappoint. It's the main reason I attended 2017. There's another reason I attended in 2018. 2019, we didn't really have a big concert series, but we had Love Live, so can't complain there. And it's 3 hours of music, basically. The concert, they had the opening act, Asterism. It was I believe, a metal J-pop anime cover band. And they started at 6:30, and then from 7 to 10, you had the 5 other acts. It was a great concert. We'll probably have a separate video on the experience there, but it's one of the main reasons I attend Anime Expo, for the music, for the big names that they have. And it's great that Anytime Moment City has returned in like a full event. The last time we saw that was 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So it's great to see them back. Great way to, honestly, it made, for me, just because of, it's one of the, I'm a very big music person. For me, just the first day alone it made the trip worth it for me. So, just saying, that's that. All right, so let's now go on to day 2. Again, I'm starting off the day going to the Peacock Theater. And I guess now is where I'm going to start the complaints, where line management for the Peacock Theater, they definitely need to improve it. I guess it's growing pains of moving over to Peacock Theater for the main events. Lines were rough. I went about 45 minutes early and the line was already cut off, like the main line. So, and it's just like lack of communication, or they just didn't plan this very well. They forced, okay, overflow space is in the beer garden, so go to the beer garden tent. All right, so here at the beer garden, because we have the Demon Slayer panel that starts in 40 minutes, and apparently the line is capped because there's a lot of people here. There's a 7,000 seat capacity, if I'm not mistaken, and apparently the main line cannot hold 7,000 people. So we're in the beer garden, sort of overflow standby area, not telling us if they can get in or not. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I get in, because otherwise I should have came here much earlier. It's gonna suck for later panels at main events. all right, hold on, you can't block the beer garden areas. You had to take a seat. You got to go outside the tent. All right, moving outside the tent. All right, now you can't block the entrances to the beer garden. Okay, great. Where do you want us to stand? So it was rough. Lines were long. It was hot. That's why I'm tan now. I'm much tanner than I usually am. So there was that. But again, the Peacock Theater is a very big venue, 7,500 seats. So they were able to accommodate. It's just a lot of waiting and a lot of walking. You got to go zigzag through those lines. Here's some B-roll of it if I wasn't already showing it in post. So there is that. Great concert. Had the voice actor for Zenitsu and the Japanese seiyuu for Tanjiro. And they had basically an orchestra, I guess, band. And they were just playing music through the scenes. They had the scenes on the screen, and the voice actors would voice over some of the scenes. And that was the entire panel. It was great. It was about an hour and a half, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, no, it was an excellent performance. Again, I'm a very big music person, so performances like these, and this is no extra cost to you to enter. Big, that's already making the weekend worth it. I'm not even been inside the convention center, so there is that. I believe they had the free rent panel shortly after that. But if you left the theater, they don't let you back in. So basically, if you left like I did because I need to use the restroom, you are SOL. So there is that. I believe after I did that, I went back to AX Crossing and grabbed a bite. So here's a picture of what I ate. I forgot what I ate. Again, I forgot the order of everything at this point, but here it is. Show you in post. What did I do shortly after that? Oh yeah, shortly after that was when I started to peruse through the exhibit hall and the artist alley. I'm not a big, it's not that I'm not a fan of the artist alley. The thing is, when I get art, also it's the same thing with this poster. It's really hard when you're traveling across the country and you're flying to store things safely and securely. I don't like grabbing art because I'm afraid that in transit back home it'll get ruined. I try to just mostly support the artists when I'm in a convention that I could drive to, because I can safely put in my car or put it in a poster tube or something like that. So I just looked through the art and was impressed with everything. They definitely increased the capacity of the artist alley by a lot by removing some of the vendors that were in Kentia Hall. So that's a great benefit. It still gets very crowded. It's like during the early hours, it's pretty manageable, but after that, it gets really hard to manage. It's the same number of booths and then some than when it was last year. So take that for what it is. I think they definitely need to make it so people walk in one direction, and then people need to just be mindful not to stop in the middle of the hallway. It's quite irritating, but it is what it is. It's still great. There's so much to see. They had the 18 plus stuff in the back corner of Kentia Hall also for anyone who's interested in that. I think that's a better solution than what Otakon is doing, where they're just not allowing those types of vendors at all, because I am a fan of Nekonyan with some of their VNs, and they're just not going to be at Otakon. But that's a complaint I'll have for a whole separate video. All right, next on the list is the exhibit hall, and I mentioned this in the expanded campus video that I shot, where the exhibit hall has a giant focus now on big exhibits, bigger panels, or bigger vendors, I suppose. And then on the far right side, they sort of just stuffed everyone else that could fit in there and then moved everyone else to the entertainment hall. So it's really cool to see. I saw like the giant Crunchyroll exhibit, definitely bigger than before. They had a giant space that they took up last year, and plus some that's where they had all the swag and stuff. Aniplex had booths. Some of the smaller exhibitors that had multiple sort of booths expanded for this year. I think the benefit of that, especially for like the middle to the left side, was that there's a bit more walking room around a lot of the exhibits, and I think many of the exhibitors are able to manage their lines a bit better. Like they're very firm on cutting off lines, so people have to leave and then come back later. And then it's just standard. If you wanted more of a standard sales experience, you had the far right side, and then you had more salespeople in the entertainment hall, which is where I went to next. So entertainment hall, with, as I mentioned before in the other video, main events have moved to Peacock Theater. Hall B is now where they moved. They expanded the entertainment hall basically into Hall B. So they have that entire hallway, basically. The entire West Hall was the entertainment hall. Had the cosplay sets, the cosplay senpais. I think they had a little sort of extra lounge area for some of the, I don't know if it's for like guests of honor or for volunteers, but they definitely had a little bit of extra space there. What else did they do? Cosplay repairers back there. They had a bunch of vendors in the back. So Retro Psycho is where I get all my Nestle berries and also a bunch of my Love Live stuff. They were moved to Entertainment Hall. Bunch of like TCG trading cards and video games were moved to the Entertainment Hall far back. So there's a bunch of vendors in the far back where they used to have the community stage. So there's no community stage this year, which was interesting. Then you had a bunch of entertainment halls. So you had Hoyoverse. I'll just B-roll some of the other vendors. Beyblade, Hulu, Netflix. They had sort of entertainment exhibits and stuff. Video gaming was also in here. Tabletop gaming was also in the entertainment hall. So it was just a big venue. I think, again, moving the main events to Peacock Theater once they sort out the line situation was very big for the convention, because expanding the entertainment hall I think was a big plus. And there's that. Also, I mentioned in the expansion video, or the expanded campus video, where the beer garden and Ichiban Market were moved out of the sort of West Hall wings, like outside of the West Hall building itself. That being moved to Chikharn Court, they had a sort of, I guess it was an HP Omen gaming tournament sort of area, plus some more food booths on where it used to be the beer garden, and then where the Ichiban Market used to be, they have Sukeban, which is, I guess, a wrestling show kind of thing. Here's some B-roll of what that stage looks like. I never like walked through it during a performance or during one of the panels, but I think it's, I mean, if you're interested in that, it's another benefit for you. So there is great, or that was great. I guess I could talk again about AX Crossing. AX Crossing, and now I believe was being organized outside of AX itself. I think La 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 was the company that is managing AX Crossing. They definitely did a lot of good things in terms of adding seating, adding more booths, having a performance stage. That's also what they did karaoke later in the night. So bunch of fun there. Day 2. It was mostly just, you know, experience the convention for what is. I don't think I attended that many other panels in day 2. I think there was a manga gamer panel at the end of the night, but that was basically it. So yeah, that's my day 2. Day 3 was one of the first, basically day 3, I did not attend Anime Expo per se, but I did, take a break in the morning, and then later in the day went to Dodger Stadium for Hololive night. So that's one of the big things I love about Anime Expo. It's that it's not just Anime Expo that you can do there. There's tons of events they usually have outside of what's being actually done by Anime Expo. So Hololive night they actually had a One Piece night at Dodger Stadium. I believe that was Friday or Thursday. And then they had Hololive night on the Saturday. And there's that. Also, even on the first day, during the same time, the J-pop sound Capsule. So again, pick whatever you want to do. They had a VTuber concert. I forget where the venue was, but it was Fantastic Reality. And a bunch of big VTubers were having a concert there. They also had another VTuber concert that happened at the same time as Hololive night, with some other very popular up-and-coming VTubers, indie VTubers. That would happen on Saturday. They also had a bunch of other performances, DJ nights and raves and parties, basically throughout the entire weekend. So you can pick whatever you wanted to do there, and there is that. There is so much to do outside of Anime Expo, and what I did later on Saturday was go to Dodger Stadium for a Hololive night. I do have my beach towel here. I don't know if you can see because I can't see the camera anymore, but there is that. yeah, Hollow Knight is how I spent day 3, and there was that. Didn't even really attend the convention. I did go to X Crossing, I think, at the very end just to see how karaoke was going on and seeing if there's any food vendors, but I think I ended up going to Wendy's or something. So yeah, there's that. All right, and then day 4 was mostly just perusing the rest of the convention, seeing what else I could do, getting B-roll for the channel, and then going to Closing Ceremonies. The thing that I always have at Anime Expo is you will never, ever have an opportunity to do every single thing you want to do, whether you're just financially constrained or just there's so many conflicts in times, or you're spending all your time on lines. But I mean, that's just part of the experience, and there's always something to do. A lot of complaints I have with line management and the way they handled certain situations. We'll talk about those in some future videos, but in the end, besides that, I still had a blast. I even went by myself. I'll have a separate video on, is it okay to go to conventions by yourself? And the answer is yes. So if you want to skip that video, and there, you could do that, but I'll have a whole explanation of why I think that way. Anyway, that's just my summary of my entire trip at Anime Expo 2025. Still had a blast, had a lot of fun, and I am now super broke because I spent a ton of money on the trip. If you want to know how much money I spent on the trip, I'm going to break down every single purchase that I've made while I was in Los Angeles, or I even included the meal I had at the airport here in New Jersey, beginning and end. So if you want to see how much, stay tuned, subscribe, and we'll talk about how much it costs to travel to a convention by yourself. So I didn't get to split a room with anyone. There's that. Anywho, this video is long enough. I need to edit it, need to add some B-roll to it, and get it out before the Anime Expo craze is over. There'll be plenty of videos I'm going to do on some of the changes I made for 2025, now that I've actually experienced it. And then we'll talk about the next convention that I'll be attending, which will be Otakon 2025. So there's that. Thanks for watching. Check out some of the other videos and other content if you're interested in some of the things I talked about. I talked about the expansion campus, or the expanded campus for Anime Expo, a lot in this video, so check out the video that I did before I attended the event. So you'll see if you could correlate some of those events. Anywho, that's it for me, and I'll check y'all out in the next one. Later, y'all.